Jack Grealish, of course, in Manchester. How close is he to becoming a City player?
Well, the only headache for us has been trying to spot Jack Grealish today, but he is edging ever closer to becoming a Manchester City player. He arrived here early this morning. We were told, in fact, that he left his Manchester hotel at around about 7:20 a.m. and since then he's undergone his medical. We understand that has been completed. Of course, no official confirmation from Manchester City is regarding that just yet. We also saw members of Jack Grealish's family and his representative as well arrive here at the training ground. That was around about lunchtime, and then after that, we caught a glimpse of Jack Grealish just leaving the City training ground in a car, being driven out of the Manchester City training ground. It was difficult to see through the blacked out windows, but it was definitely him. The assumption at that point was that the medical was done, and it was a case then of fulfilling his in-house media duties with Manchester City. And now, if things continue to progress the way that they have, then we expect an announcement before tomorrow. Every chance that it could even happen this evening as well. All this after City triggered his £100 million release clause. That obviously left Jack Grealish to agonise over a decision as to whether to stay with his boyhood club or move for the greater chance of competing for the game's major honours. And he's obviously gone with the latter. Remember, of course, this is a player who hasn't agitated for a move, but it appears he leaves the Aston Villa club with the best wishes and the respect in his decision from the management and, of course, his former teammates as well. And now we've just been told that he's definitely left Manchester City's training ground for the day, as he appears to be just hours away from being confirmed as the most expensive British player of all time.
Very much, Vinny, for bringing us up to date. Look, Carve, you've been close to this story, spying, some might say, on Jack Grealish. But, you know, so how difficult, you know, Vinny alluded to it there, how difficult a decision is this for Jack Grealish? Because this is his boyhood club.
Very, very difficult decision. I think he was absolutely torn about whether to stay at Aston Villa or move to Manchester City. And that is no disrespect to Manchester City, because obviously they're a massive club, the Premier League champions. They should, they think, be in a position to go one step better and win the Champions League very, very soon as well. But Aston Villa are just so close to Jack Grealish's heart. They're his team. They're his family's team. He's been there since he was 6 years old. He was a ball boy there. He's been at that club for 19 years. So I think he's leaving Aston Villa with mixed emotions. I think he'll be upset. You know, if you leave somewhere where you've been for 19 years, even though, you know, you may think you're moving on to a bigger club, so-called bigger club, you are going to have mixed emotions. And he's a human being, and I know he feels exactly the same way. And I think from a football point of view, it is quite a risk, because at Aston Villa, he was the main man. He was the captain. He played every game. At Manchester City, it is going to be totally different. We know that it is a super intense club. The culture there, I'm not saying that it isn't at Aston Villa, but Pep Guardiola is a very unique character. I've seen some of his training sessions. You either do things his way, or you sit on the bench, or you're not in the squad, or you get sold. So I think Jack Grealish is going to have to adapt to Pep Guardiola's methods. And there's no reason why he can't adapt, because he's got everything you need to succeed at the top level. But I would just say, for instance, you know, during the Euros, he wasn't an automatic starter for England. Gareth Southgate wasn't convinced that he could have him in his starting 11. There have been concerns, for instance, about how much work he does off the ball. That is something he's worked on really, really hard. Now, of course, Pep Guardiola is somebody who expects you to do that automatically. When Manchester City don't have the ball, win it back. So he's going to find it very, very demanding. It's almost going to be like going to a new school. But he is a very friendly, open, likeable character. He already knows quite a few of the Manchester City players. So I don't think he'll have any problems settling in. But I do think it is a risk from a football point of view. And I'm sure he'll succeed at Manchester City, and I've just got a funny feeling that one day he will be back at Aston Villa.
Really? You think he'll go back?
You talk about it being a risk, but the pressure that is attached to this deal as well, £100 million. The first £100 million British player, the British record transfer fee now. And I just wonder if in the back of Jack Grealish's mind, we've got all this talk about Harry Kane, which I know we're going to come to, whether he would want that pressure taken off him from being that most expensive signing, because if all the figures are to be believed, Harry Kane would cost in excess of that £100 million. So the pressure that he would feel by being the most expensive player in the Premier League could soon be usurped if Harry Kane joins Manchester City for a fee that is higher than £100 million. And then you'll see the focus maybe shift to Harry Kane, Britain's most expensive footballer, as opposed to it being to Jack Grealish. I mean, I know players will always say, I don't decide on the fee, so it doesn't affect me. But if you're a £100 million player, surely it has to have some sort of effect, doesn't it?
I think one example I'd use is Raheem Sterling, for instance. He was the main man for England at the Euros, one of the big stars of the tournament. He wasn't playing for Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. I remember towards the end of last season, Pep Guardiola was being asked after games, do you have an issue with Raheem Sterling? Well, what's gone on here? Why is he not playing?
But he likes to shuffle the pack. I was looking at 136 changes for City, more than any other Premier League club. So kind of he's going to shuffle it anyway. So
But they can, can't they?
absolutely. You've got.
And I think that's something that Jack Grealish has to get used to, is he's not going to be playing every
week
game.
out.
And the competition at Manchester City is so intense because the quality of the players they have is incredible. You've got Raheem Sterling, you've got Ben Foden, you've got Kevin De Bruyne, you've got Harry Kane maybe coming in as well. So we're not going to have a situation where Jack Grealish is going to be playing 40, 50, 60 games a season. He's going to have to get used to sitting on the bench as well. And when he gets his chance, if he doesn't take it, Pep Guardiola will have no issues with just taking him off and putting him back on the bench, even though he cost £100 million.
So we're very close with Jack Grealish then. What about Kane then? How close are we there?
Well, it's gone very quiet at the moment with Harry Kane. I think what is happening is that Manchester City are sorting out Jack Grealish first, and I think then they will turn their attention to Harry Kane. I still think they're determined to try and sign Harry Kane this summer as well. It is going to take a lot of money. If they sign him, I think they could end up spending something like £250 million this summer. And I know
This is the team that said they didn't have money to spend.
That is one way of looking at it. Pep Guardiola himself a few months ago said they would not be spending that kind of money. I think if you've got time, if you actually sat down with a calculator and went through the players that Manchester City have bought and sold, I don't think they've spent significantly that much more money than their rivals recently, especially when it comes to, I think overall, of course, there's been a lot of investment under the owners from Abu Dhabi, more than lots of other clubs. But I think when it comes to signing the big signings, I can't remember Manchester City breaking the British transfer record that often. It happens very, very rarely. I think their rivals, Liverpool, Manchester United, even Arsenal, have gone out and spent more on individual players than Manchester City have in the past.
Yeah, for all the money that City spend, they tend to deal in the 50, 60 million pound bracket. And you mentioned the transfer record. Up until Grealish signs, Manchester City, I couldn't believe it when I read it actually, considering how much they have spent in the past few windows. They've only broken the British transfer record once, and that was way back in 2008 on that amazing deadline day when Dimitar Berbatov went to Manchester United. That morning, Robinho signed for Manchester City for £32.5 million, which was a then British transfer record. So it was only happened once before, but who knows? It could be the London bus scenario. You wait for 13 years to break the transfer record. You could do it twice in the same summer. Jack Grealish on the verge of doing it for the second time as far as City are concerned. Could it be a third time with Harry Kane?